Hey everyone! Welcome back! I am back today with more of my Steel Ball Run reviews, you guys. We ended up with 5.5 chapters this week. I did not realize that when I did the schedule that there was a it's a really super tiny chapter. But I'm very excited to present to you the next 5.5 chapters today. We have so much going on. It always amazes me, like, where we start in the chapter, like the batch, and where we end. Because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize, like, that was this week. That feels like so long ago. Because he's just, like, packing these chapters, you guys. There is no, like, there's no wasted space in here. There's, like, no, yeah, no. Yeah. Well, you know. If you're here, then you know. We have a ton to get into, so I am going to keep the intro as brief as possible. I know that is a joke, but I will do my best. So before I get started, I do just want to say, if you're joining me early today, you know just what that means. It means you are one of my awesome patrons. Thank you so very much. And as always, I'm sending you up those big old hugs right through that screen. And if not, still, thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you're here. I do hope you'll consider supporting me that way. The link to my Patreon is going to be in that description down below. If you're joining me on those YouTubes, I really hope you'll hit like. Also subscribe for me. It does help me and my channel a whole lot. So thank you in advance for that. All right, guys. We have a lot to cover today. We have some amazing stuff to cover today. We have some stuff in here that I wish I didn't even have to get on camera and talk about. That's how bad it gets in this batch. Like, I'm warning you right now. We're going to hit all the highs and all the lows, you guys. Not that it's, like, bad writing, just to be clear, but the content. Yeah, if you read it, you know. If you read it, you know where I'm going with this. Before I get into any of that, I want to show you some new merch. As you probably have noticed by now, I have I have a bunch of new merch, but I think I've shown most of it off, I think I forgot to show the Jolene earrings in the last thing that I filmed, but we'll circle back to that. So for today, I have this brand new steel ball necklace, and I'm not going to get, like, right in your face, because I feel like that's I don't want to invade your space, but, like, I'm just going to hold this up, and I don't know if you can see it, but it says Go-Go Zeppeli on it, like what Gyro has on this team. It's a little one of the little steel balls. Yeah, love it. Immediately, like, my new favorite necklace. The shirt, you probably started to notice that you recognize this silhouette. Let me back it up for you a little bit, because it's the design is mostly on the bottom, which is kind of like, oh, usually I look for one that's, like, a little bit more towards the top because you can see it better in videos, but, like, it's a big design on the shirt. What are you gonna do? So it says 1890 SBR, and it says, yeah, it says 25th September, San Diego Beach to New York City. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read, like, upside down, looking down, so, and it is a brand new shirt, like, I literally just got it, so I don't know it that well, but yes, you can see everything it says. I love it. I was looking so hard for, like, a really good shirt, and if you know me, I like a little something that you could, like, wear in public, and only the people who know it are gonna know. You know? Like, only somebody who it doesn't even say Steel Ball Run. It says SBR. I do kind of wish it said Steel Ball Run, but I feel like only the people who are my people are gonna know if they see me in the wild with this. Thing you have to be careful about, and the reason I don't really wear a lot of Jojo or, like, stuff that I haven't read the whole thing yet in the wild, is because you all know the story of how I got spoiled on Poochie's name, which really isn't a big deal, like, literally just his name. But yeah, because I was wearing my Raimi costume, and Buffy was wearing her Arnold costume, and we were out in the wild, and you take your life in your hands. So anyway, I hope you like my ensemble. We do have a ton to get into. At some point in this video, I may have to turn on my big air conditioner I hope it doesn't come to that. It is very loud. I will do my best to adjust the audio if I do need to do that. It is about 100 degrees outside and I am in an attic. So I don't want to pass out on camera if I don't have to. I don't want this to be the reason I pass out on camera. If I'm going to pass out on camera, I want it to be like I'm sitting there watching part 9 animated and all of the original universe Joestar family shows up at like the best moment possible. That's how I want it to happen. I don't want it to happen because of the heat, you know? I'd feel kind of dumb. All right, guys, enough talking for me. Chapter 30.5, let's jump into it. There is a 30.5 before chapter 31. It is super short, and it's mostly just to help us get to know the villain a little bit better, Mr. President. We have a name now. It's called The Story of F. Valentine. So we at least know he's President Valentine. You might be able to guess this if you know it's like a pop culture reference. I already know his name. I know like very, very vague things. Like I knew what he looked like and I know his name. And that's literally all I know. Actually, I really don't know anything else about this person. But yeah, so I know I'm not going to say it because they didn't say it in here. And I know some of you are reading chapter at a time with me or you've never read it. So yeah, so this is the short story of our main villain. So basically, he found the map. He joined up. So we know that the map was like went missing for all this time. Like somebody had it, some member of the church or something, and then it went missing. So he found the map and joined a Puritan search party to go and like explore what was on the map. And he's the only one who came back alive. He said he and his party got caught in quicksand and that he was the only survivor, and that's how he found this. He didn't say that, but he didn't say this is how he found the corpse. He said the other stuff, but this is how he found the corpse. Did he kill the rest of the party? They do not come out and say it, but I'm like, he really wants those corpse parts. And they led him right to where he needed to be. Did he kill the rest of the party? What do you think? If we're gonna go accusing Diego of killing his beloved wife, I think it's fair to at least suggest that Valentine killed the rest of this party, the search party. All right, so basically he climbs the ranks in politics. He becomes the U.S. president. It's actually the year before the Steel Ball Run race he becomes president. He meets Stephen Steele, and he becomes a secret backer of the race so that he can use it to find the corpse parts, which we kind of knew, like we knew that already, but this is like the story of the how and not so much the why, other than just power. I'm sure we'll get like a backstory on him at some point because everyone's getting a backstory, you guys. Wait until the end of this batch. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway. Oh wait, they do say the name in this. Okay, I don't know what I'm thinking. Funny Valentine. Now, what cracks me up about this, no pun intended, is that, like, that's his name. That's not a stand name. I don't even know if he has a stand yet. I don't know. He probably will. Like, first name Funny, last name Valentine. I could postulate right now that the trauma of having a name like Funny is what drove him to be a villain. I'll throw it out there. I'll throw it out there. Okay. So, there's also like, I'll put it on the screen because I made a note that there's like this really cool diagram of like the body that we're looking for and who has which parts right now. And then that is the end of chapter 30.5. So moving, there's not a whole lot to that one. I'll go through it when I go through chapter 31. I might go through and just kind of like give my thoughts at the end of each chapter again, because they're pretty divided. I don't know. I did that last time and I thought that worked out well. Some of them, they're just so like flowing into each other that it's really just, it's easier to just talk about it as a whole. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you want me to do chapter at a time. If you don't like that, let me know. If you do, if you prefer that. Or we could just go case by case. Because like I said, sometimes it just feels more natural. Other times it doesn't. So, all right, chapter 31, where we left off, Diego got the eyes. So he has the eyes. And the stand thing, the like big gray statue stand thing, is saying turbo to Diego, like what Tusk was. Remember when Tusk was whispering the move your legs in Latin to Johnny? So the letters start disappearing off of, those same letters start disappearing off of Johnny's arm because the stand thing is now speaking the location of the next part. So we're moving on. So it starts to etch the letters onto Dio the same, like exactly the same way that happened to Johnny. But Johnny starts firing off at Dio. So Gyro's a zombie dinosaur at this point. He's like, oh, he's almost totally transformed. It's really terrifying, I gotta say. The human dinosaur like hybrid looks in this are very, very freaky. They're very freaky because we see it a couple times. So someone shows up and asks Johnny like why he was littering with his nails, and starts spouting off that like he's the one who turned Diego into a dinosaur. And I'm like, hold up, what? Because up to this point, I'm like, no, I saw what I saw. But we didn't, because we just saw him laying on the ground. And I assumed, oh, he got his stands. You know, because we see it. We've seen people get their stands a lot. And when somebody gets their stand, there's usually like this little period where like, oh, you're not going to feel too well, you know? And then you get it. Yeah, no, that was not his stand. Scary Monsters at that point in time was not his stand. So basically this person, well, I'll keep going. So he had Dio infect the whole village so that he could find the corpse part, this person that we just met. So another thing, I said two things last time in regards to like, I'm like, oh, I'd like Diego to be like a nicer Dio and I'd like him to be a Joe bro, but like, it's not going to happen because he's clearly like he's working for the president. He's working for Valentine. And like, I didn't say Valentine back at the time. But yeah, like he's working to get the corpse parts, and he killed all those villagers. So I don't know. Is this Joe bro? Now he's absolved of both. Because he got turned into a dinosaur. Like, I don't think he signed up for the whole thing. Like, this just happened to him. And he didn't kill the villagers. Or at least he was on control. Is kind of what the idea that I'm getting. He was used. So I'm like, I was like, oh, that's terrible. But then like, yes, because like, I want Diego so bad. I want him to be, I just want to be nice. I don't even care if he's like a Joe bro. If he could be like a side character that is okay and helps us when it suits him, maybe kind of like in the capacity of like a Rohan, you know? Like he's not really best buds with Josuke, but like they're cool. Mostly. Like, high level. I would be thrilled with that. So, alright. So, basically, this guy had Dio infect the whole village so he could get the corpse part. The person reveals that the corpse is from 1900 years ago. And Johnny's like, what did you say? He's like, that's not possible. Like, this land was, like, not even founded then. Like, was, like, huh? So at some point they say the person's name. I don't know when it is. I don't have it written down. I'll just keep calling him the guy. Guy reveals he's a geologist who's been searching for 2 years for the corpse parts. And Johnny starts to like think about this, and he's like, he actually is like, I wonder if the government is involved in this. And I'm like, ooh, you're getting warm, babe. You're getting real warm. So this person, by the way, just really hates people disrespecting the earth. And it's just, yeah, like really good cause, but like every other line is like, why did you spit on the ground? Why did you throw those nails? Like, yeah, just thought I mentioned that because, like, that's his, like, passion. And even though it doesn't contribute a whole lot to the plot, I figured I would mention that since that's, like, his gimmick. Also, it's a little bit, I don't know, like, he really doesn't like people disrespecting the earth, but, like, he's messing with nature an awful lot in, like, this whole, maybe not specifically the earth, but, like, the natural order of things an awful lot with this whole dinosaur business. So, he's talking about whoever collects all the parts of the corpse will have, like, all this power and, like, eternal kingdom. And Johnny's like, that doesn't sound like any saint I know. I don't know of any saints who could, like, do that. And I'm like, put it together, babe. Put it together. So this person tells Dio, like, go and get the left arm from Johnny. And then notices, like, the left arm is already on the ground. And this is one of those just, like, I can't believe you would do something this crazy in this moment. Johnny let the hand go. He let the arm go so that he could dinosaur out. Because remember, he was scratched too, and he's infected, and it was the arm that was stopping it. He dinos out and uses his tail to jump. And I'm just like that. He's like, I have a little window where, like, I'm not fully, like, transformed into a dinosaur, and I can still think. And I'm like, slow clap. So Dino Johnny wrecks the person, grabs the eyes, tosses them to Gyro, but they roll too far. They roll past Gyro. And it's worth mentioning, I do have it in my notes, that at this point, Dio is not full dinosaur. He's more like a human dino hybrid himself, which I gotta say, again, they just, like, they look really scary. If you want to talk about scary monsters. The dinosaurs themselves, I mean, they look like dinosaurs. I don't know if I'd want to encounter one that was angry with me, but, like, they don't look like kind of like a combination of, like, the White Walkers from Game of Thrones and dinosaur, which is what these look like. Okay, so this person's like, Dio, finish them off, but then suddenly the guy gets hit with a steel ball. And Johnny notices that only one of the eyes is still on the ground. And Gyro looks up and it's embedded in his face. And it starts moving its way up and it merges with his eye. So they're looking for the other eye. And it's in the steel ball. And Dio is holding it. The steel ball with the eye in it. But then the ball starts moving. And it wrecks the guy. I think they say by this point the guy's name is Ferdinand. So I'm just going to call him Ferdinand because, like, it's easier. If they don't, I apologize. I just spoiled you a little bit on his name. So wrecks Ferdinand. And it kind of, okay, I don't know if this is what they were going for, but it kind of looks to me like Gyro was controlling it with this eye. Like, he's kind of, like, looking at it, and he's... Either way, I think he's, like, supposed to be he's controlling it. So Gyro figures out, like, hey, this is way more than just, like, my technique. Like, I know my technique. This is not it. This is something different. And he's like, is this, like, a special ability? Which we know is, like, a stand. And I'm like, oh, my God, did Gyro just get a stand? So he can see everything through the steel ball with the eye in it, like there's a camera on it. So it's like, he calls it, like, his enhanced, it enhanced his steel ball ability. So, like, basically it kind of put his steel ball into, like, turbo mode. Like, he's still got the steel balls, but now there's, like, a camera eye on one of them, and he's got the turbo. The turbo eye is really sick, you guys. Wait till we get to some of the stuff he can do with the eye. It's really flipping cool. And I'm excited. I'm excited that he has, like, a little power up here. So he throws a steel ball at the person gets hit, but then vanishes into, like, the stampede of dinosaurs. They lose him. So Gyro's saying, like, the steel ball is tuned up now. He can see the waves of the spin, and the vibrations of those return is an echo. And he actually says it's like a ripple, and I'm like, is that a Jojo reference, sir? Because I can't hear ripple in this context and not think of Hamon. I like to think it's a little nod. There are a couple little like nods. You'll see. A couple little nods in this one. So he figures out that Ferdinand's hiding inside of one of the dinosaurs, and he's like, you know what? We're going in. And they rip open the mouth of one of the dinosaurs, grab the guy out. Johnny shoots him full of the tusk nails, and all the villagers go back to normal. So triple bonus on this whole Diego thing. Not only was he not responsible for the villagers, but like the villagers didn't even die. So I'm like, I'm rooting for Diego, you guys. I'm rooting for him to be like solid, kind of bro, maybe bro, definitely bro. He's so far the only thing we really have on him is that like he's a little arrogant. He's very arrogant. He's really smart. He had a horrible, tragic backstory. He may have killed the wife. It is true. It might be true. I like to think no. I like to think that, you know, she just had a young husband to keep up with, and heart couldn't take it. But in a good way. All right. Anyway, so the cougars that Ferdinand turned into servants start tearing him apart, rightly so. And Johnny goes to Gyro and is like, you do have both of those eyes, right? And Gyro's like, no, I do not. So we find out that Dio got the left eye and he starts to transform. And Johnny's like, he's going to come for you, Gyro. Like, he wants that other eye. And meanwhile, Gyro's like, he's busy trying to figure out what kind of constellation Turbo could be. He's like, Turbo's got to be like, because remember we had like a constellation thing before and everything. He's like, okay, well, that's what it's got to be, right? So, by the way, do they mention, I don't think I have this in my notes, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. Dio is transforming. He's now that he has the eye, he has like a special ability, and his special ability is, I think, pretty close to the one that he got when he was turned into a dinosaur, so scary monsters. So it wasn't really his stand before. Now it kind of is. Does that make sense? Like before, it was like Ferdinand had done that to him, but now that he has the eye, he can like have it organically. Hopefully that makes sense. If I'm understanding it right. So, all right. So Johnny mentions a Gyro while Gyro's trying to figure out the turbo thing. He's like, hey, this guy said this thing about the corpse being 1900 years old. And Gyro's like, no, he didn't. And Johnny's like, no, I was there, I heard him. He's like, no, you heard it wrong. He's like, no, I definitely heard him say what he said. And he's like, okay, well, then the guy said it wrong. He meant 190 years. There's no way. And he's like, yeah, like a saint from 1900 years ago isn't possible. And Johnny's like, or is it? So then their horses come back, and Gyro's really happy to see Valkyrie, his horsey. And he's like, okay, look, no matter how powerful the corpse parts are, they can't make you rich, they can't make you good with chicks, and they can't save boys who are sentenced to death. So, like, I gotta win this race no matter what. Like, all this stuff aside, I got my mission. Gyro. Gyro being Gyro is just amazing. So we end with a bunch of the racers are neck and neck again as they head downhill down the Rocky Mountains. Then to chapter 31. I will give you a quick rundown of what I thought of that. It was a very action-heavy one. It was a very good one. The action so far in, like, all the chapters has been, I think, really engaging. Like, it's never felt like, okay, okay, here we go. And, like, all right, waiting for the action to be over. Like, it's all been really, really, really good. Then in this one, we get a lot. Like, we always get something, too. We always get, like a little reveal of, like, what's going on in the story. Like, here we get the reveal of, like, okay, well, this guy was the one working to get the corpse parts. Diego was being controlled. We learned the 1900-year thing, which, of course, for those of us who have figured out by this point that, like, they're talking about Jesus, makes sense. Of course, that wouldn't make sense for saints, since the saints would have come later. And so that is a good tip-off, though, for, like, Johnny and Gyro to be like, huh. Gyro gets the eye. Now, see, one of the things I love about this is that when I was reading this, it looks like Gyro has the eye in his head, and then the other eye is in the ball. That's how it looked to me the whole time. What a great fake out, because what actually was going on was that the other eye, Dio actually had it. And I think that was a really good fake out, because of course you would assume that, like, okay, one eye is in the ball, one eye, but what that actually is it's Gyro's eye, I think, just kind of controlling the little, like, remote camera aspect now of the steel ball. So basically where we left off was now Gyro has, like, I don't know if we're calling it a stand. I mean, it is how Johnny got his stand. So I think it counts as a stand, does it not? We haven't, like, named it yet or anything, but, like, and then we have Dio also got, like, a more permanent version of his stand. So we had a lot happen in this one. A lot of clues, a lot of, like, power-ups. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to highlight. Yeah, Ferdinand wasn't around too long. He was one and done. We didn't get to know him too well. But yeah, he served his purpose before the Cougars got him. So yeah, guys, so that was chapter 31. We're full steam ahead now, literally, with all the, like, we're back in the race. It's amazing to me that we go off and have these absolutely unhinged, wild things happen to us, and then we're like, oh my god, we got a race to run. Holy crap. Like, I almost forgot. Like, I got a race to win. It's like, sometimes you just forget this is about a race, you know? It's really easy to forget. All right, so we're kicking off with chapter 32. The racers are neck and neck. We've got a couple of people. Some of them are Poco Loco and Sandman, and some of them are, like, newer people to us. Dio, they're announcing, like, this whole thing is going on. They're narrating it. Dio just has to pass Sandman to be in the lead, but he doesn't even care about that. He's so focused on Gyro, and we know why. So remember how Dio, like, way back had that ability to predict, like, people's movements and their horses' movements and everything? Oh yeah, all that is super sharpened now by the eye. Like, it's all, like, super enhanced. So we get to this part where, like, they have to decide which way to go, and one of the directions, there's like two directions, left or right, and, like, one is this, but it's like there's a disadvantage. One is, like, really hard on the horses, but, like, it's shorter, and, like, Gyro's like, I'm gonna cut through the lake. Like, the water's not that bad. My horse can make it through the you know, it's shallow enough. So he does, and Dio follows him. And the announcers are freaking out because they're like, I can't believe they just made a third path. And that's exactly what happened. So Johnny's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you're really, like, telling me that I've got to go in after. Okay, all right. And he follows him. But he's like, are you serious right now, bro? Paraphrasing. And so Gyro's like, look, I have to get the points on the stage no matter what. And Johnny's like, hey, sorry, I just don't think you have a chance of beating him right now. Like, this isn't going to happen the way you think it is. And I just want to point out right now that I dubbed this chapter the face chapter. And honestly, like, a couple chapters after this too, we just get these, like, Araki was in this, he was, like, in his face era when he was doing this. Because we just have, like, these big close-ups of, like, super detailed, gorgeous, shaded everything, like, portrait style faces. And it shows up like 3-4 times in this chapter, but you'll see it more in chapters after this too. And I'm just like, the faces though. And his art style is just so leveled up at this point. Like, all of this is colorized. All of it is, you know that because of screenshots, but all of it is just, like, it's not like we don't have, like, our far away shots where, like, we see them all, like, a little bit less detailed or something, but, like, for the most part, they're just all, like, he's just leveled up his art style a lot in this one. I love the art style. I love anything he does. I'm just going to be honest with you right now. I'm not, like, I hear that there are, like, haters on the art style, and I'm just like, as a Jojo fan, my brain cannot absorb that information. It just spits it right back out because like I cannot comprehend that. But this art style, is really something. I personally love them both. Like I love all the eras of Araki. I love super jacked. I love like the more like when he went a little bit more, trying to think of the word for it. Like everyone was a little bit slender, and I don't want to say it was more cartoony. It still looked pretty like it was a more real, like nobody had like the kitty noses, you know? Like everyone still had like a little bit more of a realistic look, but like, you know, like part 4 and everything. Part 5, absolutely stunning. I love all his eras. This one is just on another, it's literally on another level. I'm sorry, I took a lot of time to talk about that. But okay, so back to what they're talking about. Johnny's like, this isn't happening. And Johnny's like, look, you ever wonder why you didn't win at all those other stages when like really technically on paper, like you should have won based on your technique and your drive, but like you didn't. And you thought it was all these other things and like it's not. I could tell you right now, you're going to lose to Dio and to Sandman in this stage. And Gyro's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, if you got something to say, just say it. And Johnny's not trying to be a jerk. He's being very real with him. He's like, look, you've inherited everything. Like, your technique, everything is inherited from your parents, your family. Like, you're motivated, you have something, you have a mission to accomplish, but you're someone who's always inherited. And Dio is someone who has like a hunger. He's had to steal and scrape his way to everything. If you don't know that, you don't know it. He's like, if you want to win, like you need to hunger. Like you need to do it in a noble way, but you need to hunger. I just realized that this ball spins. And I'm going to be fidgeting for the rest of my life. I'm so sorry. Like, oh my God, it spins so much. Spinning so much right now. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. I literally, this is my first time wearing it, and I just realized it spins like crazy. As someone who plays with jewelry nonstop, this really is almost going to make me cry. I'm just so happy right now. So basically Johnny's putting it all out on the table for him. He's like, you're not that guy right now. And Johnny's like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go this way. Good luck, I guess. So he's riding away, and Johnny's thinking to himself, like, if you can grow, you can be someone who can win. Like, I believe that. I came here to learn from you. Like, I believe in you, but I just, right now, like, you're just not that guy. And Gyro's really mad at Johnny because, like, this is hard stuff to hear. It really is. He's like, he thinks I'm just spoiled. He doesn't see my horse's potential. And this whole time, Dio is reading Valkyrie, the horse, like a book. Like, just reading the horse like a book. So he calculates that at one point, Valkyrie is going to step on a branch, fatigue will hit, and then Dio's just going to charge ahead. So Dio gets back on land. He's in the lead. And Gyro just starts gaining on him. Because Gyro's got a plan, right? Like, he's still Gyro. Like, despite whatever he sees, like, he might not have that hunger, but man, he is something. Like, he really is. And guess what he starts doing? He starts shedding everything. Throwing stuff off his horse. He's throwing luggage off. He takes his jacket off. He's starting to shed his clothes. And I'm just like, that's not enough, baby. You need to be taking more off right now. I'm trying to help you. You need to be taking more clothes off. I'm sure it's science. I don't make the rules. Just start. I'm sorry, guys. You cannot show me him starting to just like rip off clothing without me getting a little pervy over it. All right. So at this point, I'm like, take it off. So Valkyrie steps on the branch. And they can't catch up. I think I meant to Dio. Because I have Gyro written here. That doesn't make sense. They can't catch up to Dio. So Gyro uses a steel ball on himself to make his sweat pour out Because he's like, guess what? You have so much water weight in your body, and I'm gonna sweat it all out. And he's trying to get more weight off of the horse. And I'm just like, first of all, this is absolutely unhinged. Like this, Gyro's just like thinking on another level. Like he might not have all the pieces of the puzzle yet. He might not have like the hunger or whatever that he needs yet. But like, he is just thinking on a different wavelength. The other thing is, I feel like Araki Sensei knows exactly what he's doing by showing me this man drenched in sweat, jacket off, shoulder muscles, everything exposed. I'm like, you know exactly what you're doing here, sir. You know, he knew what he was doing. He knows. Like, I'm convinced of that at this point. He knows what he's doing to us. And he keeps doing it. And I'm not complaining. So, okay, this is where things get real. This part made me mad, okay? So Dio, remember how he, like, is eating the little gastroliths? Remember he's talking about, like, he eats the rocks, and it's like, oh my god, like, this is actually really good for your body. And it's like, whatever you say. He has them in his mouth right now, and he launches one from his mouth and hits Valkyrie right in the leg. And it, like, you see the blood and everything. It hurts the poor horsey. And it makes Valkyrie wobble. And they end up losing. They end up not being able to catch up in time. So what we have is, it looks like we have Johnny comes in first. He got in at the last second and charged ahead. I think what happened was, while Dio was doing the thing with the rock, he like got ahead of him. I don't know. I don't have it written down here. But Johnny's in first. Just put a pin in that for later. Then Dio, then Gyro. So this is what made me so mad, okay? Because remember how Gyro got in so much trouble for like the ball, and he got like moved down like 20 spaces and everything. I'm like, okay, well at the very least, they're gonna like punish the crap out of Dio, right? They're like, oh, it was an accident. He stepped on a rock and he didn't mean to. And like, we're not going to punish him at all. I'm like, that is so not fair. So not fair. And I know I was just like, I love Diego in my own way right now. I want to love him. But I'm just like, that makes me mad because that's not fair. That's not fair. And what's even worse is he actually hurt the horse. I mean, that's really bad. I mean, the horse is fine. But still. So Gyro starts to think to himself, and he's like, you know what, maybe Johnny had a point. Like, maybe I do need to hunger more. Maybe, like, you know, I see Johnny, he's like hungering after this corpse thing, and like, you know, maybe I do need to have that. So the rankings come in, and we see that I think we've seen this character before. I think we've at least seen their name. But character called Hot Pants. Yes, that is the name. I don't know if the first name is Hot and the last name is Pants. I don't know. I'm not asking questions. I'm not asking questions at this point. The president's name is Funny Valentine in this. I don't ask questions anymore. Hot Pants already hit the goal and came in first an hour before them. Which begs the question, who the heck is this Hot Pants? And how are they, like, what? So we're going to get more on Hot Pants. But, okay, so Finn, chapter 32. I really like this chapter. I gotta admit, the first time I read it, I was like a little put off by the whole, like, Gyro needs to hunger more thing. The more I read it and the more I saw what Johnny was saying, I'm like, I do get it. I do get it because even the smartest, most capable person, like, there's just some things that, like, if you have that desperation of being, like, poor, abandoned, like, it's a do or die, you know? There's a huge difference between, like, just regular determination and, like, you literally have to do this or you will die. Like, you have to, like, fight and scrape your way ahead. And I do get that. I do get where Johnny's coming from. But I was like, Gyro's determined. I don't think he's saying he's not. You know, it's on another level. with Dio. And there's probably other people in this race like that. And it's like, if you really want to be first, you really need to channel that for yourself. So it was, you know, it was kind of an interesting development in their relationship, because we had them kind of like the confirmation that, like, you know, they're friends, they're sticking together, they're going to stick by each other, they're going to be there for each other. And I just love that. But here we had like kind of like the not so fun aspect of friendship, where it's like, you have to be real and be like, you know what, I just got to tell you, like, for your own good, I've got to tell you something that's going to be really hard to hear. But I think Gyro did understand, like, by the end of this, what he meant, you know, even though Gyro was just like working on a whole other level in this one with, like, it was a good idea about the luggage and everything. It's just, I don't know. He just came up short this time, I guess. You know, he's got a little soul searching to do too, I guess. But yeah, the hunger thing, when I was reading this the first time, the first thing I thought of was, I don't know if you remember that scene in part 2 where I think it's right before Caesar goes to fight Wamu. Is that where it is? Where right before he goes to fight Wamu, and he's like, this is good, like, and I think he actually even says, like, I don't know if he uses the word hunger. I kind of thought he did, but he says something to the effect of, like, I've got that, like, that hunger, that, like, fire again, like I did when I was poor, you know, like, like, all that is coming back to me, you know. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if it was kind of a nod to that as well, while also being like a pivotal part of the story. It's also a little bit of a nod to, like, we know that Caesar actually did have a really harsh childhood and everything, and was someone who drew upon that when he fought and everything. So just thought it was interesting. I'm always thinking of Caesar. He's always in my heart. So yeah. All right, so chapter 33. Well, was there anything else I wanted to say? I think that was pretty much the point of, I think that was pretty much it. Chapter 33. Okay, I want to preface this by saying something. It's not going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people. I know something about hot pants. Some of you are reading this for the first time. I am going with, when I talk about hot pants, I am going with the information we have for the character at this time. That's not going to make a lot of sense for anyone reading it for the first time. For those of you who have read it and know what I'm talking about, you probably can pretty much put together what I'm talking about. When I refer to hot pants, I will be going by the information presented at this time in the story. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're all on board. Okay. Because I don't want, the thing that I know has not been said, and I just don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So I like I said, I know very high level things, super high level things that, like, have no context, and that's it. But I still, like, I'm in the position where I don't have to say it. I kind of don't want to ruin, I mean, it doesn't really ruin anything, but, like, you know what I mean? Just moving on. Okay, so Johnny and Gyro see Hot Pants headed towards them, and they don't know anything about him. They're saying, like, he's lone wolf type and everything, and, like, can we really trust this person? So Hot Pants shows up and is like, good day. Enough of the chit chat. I'm going to hang you now. And starts to drop 2 nooses. Nooses? Plural of noose? And it's just like, oh my God, what? What are you talking about? And Hot Pants is like, you ate my cow, and I have paid for this cow to be here in this spot, and you have eaten the cow. You are now going to pay. That is the law. You will pay with your lives. Such is the law. And it turns out that Gyro took a small piece of the meat, but a lot of it had already been eaten by coyotes. So Gyro did take, like, a little bit, I think, for, like, his horse or something. So Hot Pants goes after Gyro, and Gyro tries to use a steel ball. But Hot Pants has this, like, flesh foam spray thing that starts to liquefy his flesh. Yes. So Johnny sees this, tries to use his nails, but then the same thing happens to him. He starts getting flesh liquefied too. So he touches Gyro's left arm and it starts to like shrink. And Johnny's eyes are like all swelled shut after getting like all nasty and liquefied. Like they're almost starting to like this. So it's like merging their flesh. And Gyro, okay, where am I? Gyro uses a steel ball with the eye in it to punch Hot Pants. And so all of a sudden, Hot Pants drops the foam sprayer. Gyro locks his arms and he tells Johnny like start shooting with the nails. So Gyro's like kind of trying to reason with Hot Pants, saying like, look, there was a bullet in this cow when we found it. We don't use guns. We don't need guns. We have stands. Like, listen to reason. So Hot Pants reaches for the sprayer and Johnny shoots it. And Hot Pants eventually like releases the stand and is like, I hear what you're saying, but you still ate some of my cow. So like, I'm not going to apologize for trying to kill you here today. So Hot Pants is like a real character, like definitely like very by the book, very letter of the law, but like in the most extreme way possible. So I'm like, wow, don't mess with the cow, I guess. Don't mess with somebody's cow is the point of the story. All right, so Johnny asks if Hot Pants got their stand in Devil's Palm too. And Hot Pants is like, wait, there are other people with these abilities? So Johnny's like, look, this person doesn't seem to know about the corpse. I don't think he's an enemy. Gyro has to, so like, I hate him. I don't want to have anything to do with him. But like, Johnny's kind of coming around. And so Gyro's like, hey, I did notice something when I used the spin scan on Hot Pants' spine. Because that is a thing that that's something that he can do now. He can like scan people's, like an x-ray. And I'm just like, he really didn't need to get any cooler, you guys. He was pretty freaking cool. And then there you go. He's like, I used the spin scan on Hot Pants' spine and I noticed something. Like, turbo can mean a lot of things, but maybe it's not the meaning. Maybe it's each of the characters that we should be looking at. Maybe that's trying to show us something, which is kind of what happened with the characters with the letters on Johnny's arm too. So it stands to reason. So it turns out there are like ones and zeros inside the letters of the word turbo that are like binary code. And this is where Gyro just totally loses me, because he starts like mathing his finest math and he like decodes this code, and as a whole, it's math people enjoy this because this was like for me. But he decodes it, and it turns out that it's latitude and longitude for the next corpse part. And so Johnny looks on the map, like where the coordinates meet and everything, and it turns out it's Kansas City. So that's where the next corpse part is. So Johnny, he kind of confronts the saint thing again, and he's like, how would a saint know about latitude, longitude? And Gyro's like, well, you know, numbers have this constant quality. Maybe it's like part of a prophecy or something. Like, so they still don't have any details on this whole thing. So then they're like, oh crap, what if Dio has also realized this with his eye? And Gyro's like, you know what, no matter what, the goal is just still to finish first place. Like, we gotta just keep an eye on that. No pun intended. It's so they come across this house. This is, oh my God, guys, this is where things really start to get, wow. So they come across this house, and Johnny's like, haven't we been here already? This looks familiar. And then they see Hot Pants' cow, and it's like they've been going in circles. So Gyro's like, oh my God, it was Hot Pants. He tricked us. I hate that guy. And so they try again, and they're like very careful and intentional this time about like each turn they make. And they still end up back at the cow. So now they've lost more time from circling around twice. They run into Hot Pants, who's like, asks if they're also lost and like how many times this happened to them. So like, it's clearly not Hot Pants doing it. It's like Hot Pants is also affected. And Hot Pants says their compass isn't working right. And, like, Hot Pants is like, I've been here a few times before, too. So, like, clearly it's not not causing this. So Johnny's like, look, we don't trust you. And Hot Pants is like, okay, I'll trust you. Because you actually really don't seem like bad people. Even though, like, despite the whole, they got off to a rough start, I would say. And Johnny's saying, Johnny is like, look, it kind of feels like he's saying we should help each other since we're all sort of lost out here together. And Gyro says one of the best lines ever. And I'm just going to put it on the screen because I can't even begin to replicate this. You just have to experience it for yourself. So Hot Pants is like, okay, if you trust me, I'll share food with you. And it turns out, like, Hot Pants has all this really good food, like roast beef sandwiches, and, like, Gyro and Johnny are just, like, drooling over it. And so they agree. Hot Pants is like, okay, first things first, let's go talk to whoever's in this house. Like, we'll get directions, we'll do something. So another racer who was neck and neck with them like a chapter or two ago, Gaucho, runs into them, says he's also lost. And he's like, I talked to the guy in the house, and he says if you want to get out of here, there's only one way, and that's that you have to kill me. That's what the guy in the house said. So this person comes out of the house, and they're like, let's go. Let's go. So Gaucho's getting really mad. And the guy just repeats, like, hey, you know what? If you want to get out of here, you gotta kill me. So the guy's just, like, spouting off all these facts about, like, the type of gun and everything. And he starts, like, giving Gaucho pointers on how he needs to move in order to, like, actually hit him. And I'm just like, okay, what is going on here? Yeah. Oh, and then he shoots. Yep. Sorry. I lost my place for a second. So the guy gets hit in the shoulder. He shoots back at Gaucho, and Gaucho goes down. But the guy starts explaining, like, that wasn't exact. It's not what I need to do to kill you. Like, that wasn't exactly right. And he's like, I gotta take, like, one more step. And then he proceeds to just shoot the crap out of Gaucho and just, like, destroys him. And so the guy is just like, I thank you. He's, like, very polite. And he just goes back inside his house. He just, like, comes out, murders the crap out of Gaucho, and is like, good day. I bid you adieu. And they're all like, whoops, what just happened? And Johnny's like, someone just got murdered here. And Hot Pants is like, none of this was against the law. Like, are we going by, like, Wild West, like, shootout rules? Because, like, last time I checked, like, murdering someone's behind is illegal. It's illegal. I don't know, guys. I don't know how things worked in 1890. I don't know. I mean, they did actually used to have duels and stuff. Like, they did actually used to have duels. So maybe it's like the law of the duel. I don't know. Somebody who's more up on history can let me know. But I know, like, that's like an actual thing that they did, and that was perfectly, like, on the up and up. Wasn't like two people trying to kill each other. Even though it was. So Gyro's like, look, this is the guy who probably shot your cow. And he's like, Johnny, let's GTFO. Finn, chapter 33. Wow. We had a lot going on in that one. So we made kind of a reluctant alliance with Hot Pants in this one. Hot Pants is very, like, it's interesting that we should run into, like, two characters at once who are very, like, they really have some standards, but, like, they're not afraid to just kill your behind either. Like, if they have to, it's no problem, but, like, very much by the book. So that's kind of interesting. We had an amazing line from Gyro in this one. Like, I think it's heralded as, like, a super, like, big, famous, hilarious line, and it was pretty great. I really enjoyed it. I think it's pretty heavily memed from what I'm hearing. It's pretty heavily memed. We lost Gaucho. Gaucho just, oh my God. Because it was like a big deal. Remember several chapters ago when it was like a big deal that like racers were like dying or getting murdered? Remember that? Remember when this was just about a race across the country? Do you remember that? I remember that. It's been a bit. So the new guy, design, I really like the design. Very interesting character so far. At this point in time, we don't really know anything about him, but just a very, seems to be pretty polite for someone who's doing what they're doing. But yeah, that's about all we know right now. We will get to know this individual better, and I am here for it. Oh, I don't think I said anything about Hot Pants stand yet. Really, really freaky stand. Really cool, really clever. You're going to see some cool stuff with it later on, too, that Hot Pants can do with it. But the whole, like, I mean, the first thing I thought was that it kind of looks like the spray, like, mace, kind of. And I'm like, but it's like a fleshy foam. It's like a fleshy foam. It's a fleshy foam, and the effects are absolutely horrifying. Definitely a very interesting, powerful stand. Very grotesque. I'll be curious to know, like, the way that, like, the sprayer, is the sprayer the sand? Or is the sprayer just kind of like an accessory to the stand? Because, like, the foam is coming from the sprayer. I don't know. But it's very interesting. I don't think I got to comment on that yet. So, all right. Chapter 34. Let's go. I don't think they've said the name of Hot Pants Stand yet, but they're going to say it in this one. Okay, so basically, Johnny, Gyro, and Hot Pants are trying to find their way around again. They decide they're going to take their chances. They're going to go through again. They're marking trees this time. They're like, we'll leave ourselves a trail. Like, we're going to do this really smart, and we're going to figure it out. So they do all this, and they still end up back at the house. And the house is just, like, menacing, like crazy. Like, super menacing at them. So they decide, okay, like, we set the markers. We're going to do this again. And this time we're going to follow the markers. Like, this can't not work. And it turns out that now tons of the trees have markers. And Johnny's like, what the actual fudge? I know I only I'm like, what is this? So Hot Pants is like, look, I think the only way we're going to get out of here is if we kill this guy. Like, that's the information we've been given. Like, look, there's 3 of us. There's 1 of him. And, like, Gyro's still like, I don't really trust you. But Johnny's like, look, we have to do this. Like, we cannot get lost out here with the sun going down. Like, we can't get lost out here in the dark. If we don't make it to Kansas City in time, like, you won't be able to save this boy. Like, we need to do this. So Hot Pants fires off the flesh foam, and the hand starts to shrivel, and, like, all of it disconnects and is like the foam is like thrown at the house. And that's when we see Hot Pants' hand reemerges on the roof, and I'm just like, whoa. And that's when Hot Pants mentions, like, this is my cream starter, like, that's the name of the sand and everything. And I'm like, ooh. That's it. It's an interesting name for that. But I just think that's really cool that, like, we can actually, like, do that with limbs. Like, you can almost kind of the way that, like, remember how, like, Mountain Tim could, like, separate some of his limbs off and, like, send them places? Hot Pants can kind of do that with the foam and just, like, send a limb. Yeah. Okay. So Johnny and Gyro find this guy, and he's digging a grave for Gaucho. So yeah, there's like this guy. Just wait till you get to know him. So they confront him, and he's like, look, I only want to talk to the one of you who's actually going to be able to, like, take me in a shootout. So Gyro throws a steel ball, and he hits him, but then the ball is, like, back in his holster suddenly. And it's like, what? Because, like, up to this point, I'm like, they keep on getting, like, they're looping in the woods, right? Like, we know it seems like they're kind of, like, looping around the set. Like, But what this actually is never, ever, ever occurred to me. It never even crossed my mind for a second that it would have been something like this. So this guy introduces himself as Ringo Roadagain, and his stand is called Manga. And his stand can rewind 6 seconds in time. And I'm just like, excuse me? First of all, since when does a side villain get a stand that has something to do with time? Something to do with affecting time? Like, this is like a main villain power, you guys. This is something like the main villain should be getting in like the next last episode. And I'm just like, what? You can do what now? Like, I would have never guessed it was something like that. Because, like, who would have guessed that? Who would have guessed that, like, I mean, I don't know. Somebody out there who's really smart maybe would have been able to guess based on the clues. But I sure didn't. You're just like, I'm not expecting this person to have, like, a time stand. So this is why they couldn't make it through the trail. Ringo is explaining it to them. And Johnny asks, like, why are you doing all this? And he's like, I want you to try to come and kill me. Like, a fair duel is going to help my growth as a person. And he explains, like, he's pursuing this divinity, and he's, like, incomplete right now because he's just a mere human. And, like, he asks him very politely, like, will you do this? And I'm just like, wow. Like, it's not the vibe you're expecting. Like, this very calm, almost sort of like seeking like a Zen kind of like, you know, like really, really focus on our personal growth and like really polite. It's not mashing up, you know? So he says, this is the true man's world. And Hot Pants is like, I'm GTFOing, like, right now. So Hot Pants uses Cream Starter to cut off Ringo's gun hand and is like, all right, guys, I made sure that, like, the gun is down. It's up to you now to make sure he doesn't get the gun. And Johnny tries to fire off Tusk at him, right? But he winds his watch. Ringo winds his watch backwards. And time starts to rewind. And it's such a cool effect, you guys. Like, I love the like, time effects in JoJo's. Because, like, if you remember, like, how cool it is when, like, you hear that noise of Zawildo. And you see, like, everything kind of go, like, a negative image for a second. It's like you could see it and hear it in your head just reading this. It's so cool. So this time, Ringo dodges Hot Pants' stand, shoots Hot Pants' hand, like the detached hand on the ground, and we see like Hot Pants like screaming, like taking the pain and the damage from it. And Johnny just gets like big mad and makes this face. It's like, how effing dare you? And like, this is a face, you guys. When I said these were the face chapters, I wasn't messing around. Big mad. So Johnny tries to fire again, and Ringo shoots back and hits Johnny right in the head. And I'm just like, oh, a good thing we got time stuff going on, because like, what the heck? Then he shoots Hot Pants in the, like, kind of looks like a hit in the heart or near the heart. Like, I don't know what happened there. Maybe it was a little bit below. I don't know. It was hard to tell. But like, shoots Hot Pants, shoots Gyro, and is like, you know what? At the end of the day, you're just a conformist. And he says, he only kills people with, like, dark intention towards him. So, like, I'm going to let you go. My only objective at this point is basically, like, my training. And then he reveals that he is indeed working with Valentine to get the corpse parts. He's like, I'm going to take Johnny's arm and I'm going to give it back to my boss. And then he just, like, goes in the house. He goes back in his house. And Gyro's just left out there, like, screaming, bleeding, the whole thing. So the ball starts rolling back to Gyro, and Gyro starts to figure out that, like, it rolled the exact distance of Ringo's gun range, which is a step past Johnny, which means there's a chance that Johnny's still alive. So he's like, yeah, the bullet should have stopped and just, like, lodged in his skull. And he just, again, we have another face, like, super determined face, Finn to chapter 34. This is a really good one. We get to actually, like, get Ringo's name. We get to know a little bit more about just like some of his more basic motivations. We get a couple more really cool looking faces. We get some just like cool, it's really interesting. Again, I like to see the way that like Cream Starter works and everything. But yeah, they all just like went down like super fast in this. Like all of them just get shot the heck down. So yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't think I have a lot more to say about this one. I think I already pretty much said it. I mean, obviously Ringo Roadagain. I think if I had to guess, I mean, I know Ringo is a reference to like Ringo from the Beatles. Roadagain, is it the song on the Roadagain by Willie Nelson? That's who it's, yeah. Check that real quick to make sure I'm not sounding like an idiot. Yeah, Willie Nelson. But maybe it's something else. I mean, Roadagain could be, it's just, when I heard it, I thought like on the road again. But I could be wrong. Let me know if I got that right. Definitely is one of these villains that has like super high standards. It's like, yes, I'm doing bad things, but like I have some actual like legitimate, like kind of like morals and standards about it. And I have like in this case, this person is like, they're trying to achieve like a higher state of being. Like it's very, very, we're not just like, we kind of saw this with Dio's minions in part 3 too. Like you would get your ones that are just like, I'm in this for the money, or I'm in this because I'm like piece of crap. And I just like to hurt people. Or you would get the people who are like, I actually kind of like believe in like one or another things that like Dio has promised to me. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about that chapter. Chapter 35 is a rough one, you guys. And this review has been going on for a while. So this is a rough one, you guys. I'm going to warn you right now. There are triggers in here for essay, childhood. Yes. And we know that's not something that he's never portrayed to us before, because we had, like, Fugo's backstory. We had just the weird stuff going on with Anne and the monkey, and just, I don't know why. This one just felt much more graphic. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I was super disturbed by it. I'm not going to put the screenshots in. I don't want to. I'm just not going to. You can put together or go read it, because, no, it's really bad, you guys. All right. So I was saying, like, Ringo's not really all that bad. I mean, it's not that, like, what he's doing is good, but we're gonna get a backstory in this one, you guys. You guys were just telling me about Diego's backstory, like, guess what? You've got some real sad backstories ahead of you. And I'm like, I wonder if they meant this one. Because you weren't joking. You weren't joking at all about that. So get Ringo's backstory. So basically, his father was a farmer who was drafted to war. And for one reason or another that we don't know, his father deserted. And this basically made the whole family like fatherless, impoverished, traitors, and they had to just like move around just to survive. They had to like move and travel around. Ringo had this strange illness that doctors couldn't get to the bottom of that caused him to get cut like very easily, like the slightest thing. Like he'd wake up with like cuts from just like existing. And if he got a cut in his mouth, he might stop breathing. Like it was really, really bad. He couldn't go to school. He was just like very frail. One night, he wakes up to a man standing over him who starts to try, nope, I'm not going to get into it. I think you can see where this is going. And I'm just going to skip all the screenshots because they're icky and I don't want to. I don't want to. Plain and simple. So Ringo, while this is starting to go on, gets the guy's gun. And I'm like, oh, shoot the living crap out of him. Like, I'm not a violent person. I'm not even a gun person. But when I saw this, I was like, pull trigger, pull trigger, pull trigger, do it. So takes the gun, aims it at the guy, and the guy starts like threatening him, like all this stuff he's gonna do to his family if he doesn't stop, and he's like trying to get him to put the gun down. And Ringo starts like bleeding out his nose because, you know, he's having this like blood, he has this blood thing. And so he starts to cough up blood, and he's not doing okay. So the guy sees this, and he's like, he thinks he has a chance to like he's like distracted right now and gonna like try something, like get the gun. But Ringo like snaps back with the gun, shoots the guy. Guy goes flying across the room, shoots him dead. And I'm like, I don't know, you guys. I'm not a big violence person, but I was okay with this one. So all of a sudden, as of that moment, the sickness was just like gone. And Ringo believes that like the duel, like this fair duel, had like kind of tested what he was made of, and he showed his true self. And so that's when he decided to follow this path of like the true man's world. So Gyro's dying. He's like laying there dying, and he starts to see like a vision of his dad. And his dad is telling him like, this is all because of your sentimentality. You wanted to save your friend. Like, none of this matters. Like, the steel balls are not supposed to be used for this. They're not for combat. You should just withdraw from this race immediately. Like, none of what you're doing right now is okay. And Gyro's like, you know what? You're wrong. It's not sentimentality. It's not me being a conformist. It's not like all these things people are saying to me. I just want to understand. Like, I just want to know, like, what is this corpse? Why does Marco really have to be executed? Like, etc. Like, he's in this to kind of, I feel like, because he's not just going to take everything at face value without questioning it. Like, he wants the higher understanding. So that's when he gets, like, his determination back, and he throws the ball that has the eye in it. I mean, it doesn't really have an eye in it, you guys, because we know Dio has the other eye, but, like, I'm calling it the eyeball. So you'll follow me on that. So he can see through the eyeball, not eyeball, but an eyeball, that Johnny is still alive. Ringo has the map. He knows where the next part is. And Gyro's like, this is going to be like a game of chess. And I'm like, what? Jojo fight isn't like a game of chess. But like, yes, also I'm down. I'm down for this. So he busts in, Gyro busts in, and he hits Ringo in the face with a ball. And Ringo, of course, like, resets time. Just 6 seconds. Because, like, if you have a time power, like, how OP is that? So this time around, the ball misses him. And Gyro's like, you know why I threw that ball? I threw it to scan your body. Because he can do that now. And he's like, guess what I found? I found an old scar in your collarbone. And he's like, next time, I'm going for the collarbone. And when I do, your whole left side's going to be paralyzed. And you won't be able to use your left hand to set that watch back. And guess what? Like, your left side also includes your heart. So you're going to die. So Gyro kicks down the door. I mean, Gyro didn't need to be cooler. He didn't need to be cool. He was so cool. And it's just like every time you think like, wow, Gyro's really awesome, Araki's just like, oh, sweet summer child. Just wait. Just wait. So he kicks down the mother freaking door. And they're at a standoff because they're like, from this distance, neither one of us is going to miss. They got their hands on their weapons. I mean, this is like an old fashioned, like, it's like a shootout. And so they start to go for it. And the ball hits Ringo in the collarbone. The bullet goes right through it. Goes like right here, like through his neck. And, but the steel ball works. And Ringo's whole left side is starting to get paralyzed. Like his heart is like, we're seeing like the effects are working. This man gets his gun and shoots the little winding nubbin thing that you use to wind the watch. He shoots it. Like that's how bizarre we're getting. And turns back time. So they're back, like Gyro's outside again, and he's like, oh, I see you turn back time. He's like, you want to go? Let's go. Like one more time. You want to go? Like, let's go. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like he's just We're just escalating so much here. It's so intense by this point. And Ringo's like, you know what? Your eyes have changed, but you're still just a conformist. And Gyro's like, he throws the ball, and Ringo uses his hand to, like, block it. He blocks the collarbone because he thinks he knows what Gyro's after, right? We're playing chess here, you guys. We're playing chess. So he shoots Gyro in the chest. And Ringo's like, okay, you know what? Here comes the second shot. This is what's going to do you in. And all of a sudden, Ringo gets hit with a shard of wood in the collarbone. And Gyro explains, like, you guarded your collarbone with the left hand, which means that when you shot me, you missed the vital spot. That was your mistake. And Ringo realizes that, like, Gyro used the knowledge of where the shards of wood fell the first time when he kicked in the door, like in the first scenario before he rewound time. He used that information to calculate this. And I'm like, he didn't need to be any cooler, you guys. He really didn't. And Ringo's like, at this rate, I think we would have just kept going like 6 seconds at a time, like forever. Like we just would have been looping. Like we would have been like a stalemate, basically. So Ringo tries to get his gun, and Gyro's like, just stop. Don't do that. And he's like, he's still telling Gyro, like, you're just a conformist, but you need to find this path of light. Like, you need a true man's values to find this road of victory. And, like, if you keep going, you'll find it. And he's even like, you know what? I'm gonna pray for that for you. And I thank you. I like, even here, there's like this weird, like, again, you know, we've had this so many times in JoJo's where, like, there's kind of this weird, like, show of respect almost between two opponents. And so Ringo reaches for his gun, and Gyro just uses the ball to finish him off. I think Ringo reached for his gun because, like, he wanted to be finished off. He was like, this is it. This was the fair end to this duel. And I have discovered whatever it was I need to discover from it. Finn. So yeah, his last words are like, welcome to the true man's world. And it's very dramatic. This whole fight, and I'm told now that this fight is considered like one of the best, if not the best fight in part 7, or probably like one of the best, because I don't know, like I gotta imagine there's gonna be like big epic like final boss fight. But I'm not surprised. Like, honestly, like I see it completely, because this was so intense, and this was just reading it. Like, this is one of the things where, like, when this is animated, this is going to be absolute fire. I can totally see it being, like, right up there with the greats, like, maybe even up there with, like, the Risotto and Doppio Diavolo fight, and just, like, I could see it. I could see it. So Gyro goes to find Johnny. He still has a pulse, and he's like, yeah, you and me both still have a pulse. Finn! What a freaking batch, you guys. We did so much. I like to think that we started out with, like, Dio had the eyes. And the last... That's where we started in this. Like, we covered so much. So I will give you just kind of my review of 35, and then I'll just tell you overall, like, any lingering thoughts I had. Ringo's backstory was so icky. I don't want it. I don't like it. But I will say this, when Araki wants to get across something, like, good God, he does it any way he has to. Like, if he wants you to, like, sympathize, if he wants to, like, get across somebody's bad, he will go there. And he went there, and I didn't like it, and I don't want to go back there. But I did kind of... Like, of all the, like, when you look at some of the side villains we've had, like, the kid that was going all crazy a couple of chapters ago, and, like, the brothers and the dad who are, like, really just kind of out there. I don't know. Ringo's kind of, I think, one of the more respectable ones. And yes, the backstory helps with that. I mean, think about this, though. Like, this guy was a side villain who was around for all of, like, what, 2 chapters? Who got a backstory and an OP stand. I mean, he's no pun intended, he's gonna stand out a lot more. So Definitely, I think this chapter was the one, like, seeing kind of what he was all about, seeing his backstory, seeing kind of, like, how he handled his defeat and everything, kind of made me at least be able to, like, you know, kind of, like, respect him. And I think Gyro found that, too. In terms of Gyro, like, finding his hunger, like, we had that a couple of chapters ago where, like, he had to find, like, his hunger, you know, his determination, kind of. Like, I feel like he found it a lot here. I feel like kind of being confronted by his dad in that, like, dying dream death state. I think it kind of helped him realize, like, his own inner motivations and, like, what he was willing to do and, like, the level he was willing to go for it and everything. And what he really wanted. So that was really cool because it was nice to have a little bit of resolution of that. And I know we're probably going to get more resolution as time goes on. Like, it seems like the character growth is really, really progressive in this, which I really, really love. But yeah, I mean, just so many boss scenes in here, you guys. Like, him kicking in the door, him literally playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. I mean, Ringo was playing chess too. He just, like, in 1 second, it's just like one little mistake is all it takes, you know? And they even said that in the chapter, like, one little mistake is all it takes. And Gyro was the better man here. He really was. But yeah, he's still, like, you know, I think that Ringo was kind of, like, alluding to his own kind of viewpoint of, like, you need to find this path of light. But we know that, like, Gyro himself is also sort of looking for, like, his path to victory here. So it's kind of interesting that I'm glad we addressed that again. Awesome fight. Such a good fight. I'm just overwhelmed that we have, like, a time stand like this, like, already for such, like a villain who was only around for, like, a character who was around for, like, 2 seconds. It's just, like, it gives me a lot of, like, holy crap, what lies ahead if that was given to, like, a character who was not around very long. And I gotta believe, based on everything I've seen so far, based on what you guys are telling me, just of the vibe of part 7, that, like, we have a lot ahead of us in terms of, like, just how freaking amazing this is going to get. So yeah, so I loved it. I love the fight. I can definitely see why it's heralded as, like, such an amazing fight. Proud of Gyro. It was a great moment a lot of great moments for Gyro in this. Gyro's just, love him. Overall, I love this batch. We accomplished a freaking lot in this batch. We got to know Valentine a little bit better. We got some basic facts. We got the name. We got to know Hot Pants a little bit better. We have sort of, I don't know, I think Johnny would be okay with calling Hot Pants a friend. Gyro, of course, is still kind of, you know, a little bit on the fence about it, but we at least formed somewhat of some kind of friendship, I think, with Hot Pants, which hopefully will. I don't know what happened to Hot Pants, by the way, because Hot Pants was shot, right? Last time we saw. So, like, I'm assuming the Hot Pants is going to be fine, but, like, we really didn't address that again, so I don't know. But I think so. I think Hot Pants is going to be, like, a recurring character. What else? Oh, I went back too far. I'm on the Diego chapters now. The Scary Monsters ones. Okay, yeah. So Dio got his ability permanently. Well, not permanently, I guess, if he loses the eye, but that's a good question, though, because, like, if he loses the eye, will he not have a stand anymore? Like, are we really going to have Dio without a stand in this? Because, like, I've got to imagine, like, where we're headed with this is eventually they're going to get all the corpse parts. Like, someone's going to get all the corpse parts, and I don't think it's going to be Dio. I think it's either going to be the bad guy or it's going to be our crew. Or maybe both. Like, maybe, like, 1 minute, one person will have it, and another minute, another person will have it. But, like, I don't know. Or maybe they'll have to, like, kill him to take it. Like, if somebody will have to, like, kill him to take. I really don't want to see him die, though. I think that would suck. I really want to see him, like, make it out. You know? Like, be a bro. Be a bro in some capacity of the word. So I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen. But, like, Dio without a stand? I don't know. He's still, like, Diego's got a lot going for him. He's still, like, a master strategist, and has a big personality. So anyway, Gyro's got his ability now. So cool. And Gyro's like so freaking smart. Like sometimes Gyro, he's being silly and he's being goofy. And it's kind of like that Joseph effect where you're like, oh my God, you're just like a big, dumb, silly person. And then it's like, oh my God, I almost forgot that you have the intellect of like a god. Like, excuse me for that. Like, I don't think anyone's as smart as Joseph. I think he's probably like the smartest, the absolute smartest character. I'm okay with saying that. He's right up there. But Gyro's pretty freaking smart, like doing like decoding and binary and math and all this stuff in here. And like, it's so cool now that he can like do the body scan as well. I think that's a really cool effect. And I'm really, really happy that he like, I guess he's got like kind of a stand now. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a stand. My guess is it is. That's based on everything I've seen. So, we had Eraser die. We had Jojo die. That was too bad. We got to know Ringo. I already said my piece about Ringo. I think Ringo is really interesting. Probably my favorite side villain so far. Well, no, because I guess if we're counting Diego as a side villain, then, I'm going to pick Diego first. But yeah, I thought a lot of great things happened in this. A lot of great fun stuff, funny stuff, dramatic stuff, horrible stuff, which I'm putting out of my mind. But, like, all of it was well written. Like, I will say that. I'm like, I see what he was trying to convey with that. You know what I mean? A legendary quote from Gyro happened in this one. I mean, it's crazy to think, like, we got all of that. We got abilities, we got time stand, we got to know this. I really felt like we spent more time with Ringo than we did. It really did. That was like really super well done. So yeah, guys, I loved it. I hope I'm not like missing anything. I think I gave you most of what, and this is also like an hour and a half now, so it's super long, but I think I gave you most of everything I thought like after each chapter, but the highlights were just fantastic. I loved it. I'm really liking Hot Pants so far. Brings such a great dynamic. So different from Gyro and Johnny. It's just a really, really fun addition. Really hoping we get to see, and I think we will get to see Hot Pants again in the future. Ringo was really, really interesting. The time stand was... Time stands are always fun, you guys. Like, what the heck? Still just can't believe that Ringo got a time stand, but here we are. Love Gyro's ability. We're still gonna have to, Diego's still gonna be after Gyro, so like we're still gonna have to deal with that at some point. But now I guess we can at least like actually advance ahead. Like we were just stuck in this loop in this like particular area. Now we can advance ahead and deal with all that other stuff later. Get to Kansas City. Who knows what the next part is? I'm almost afraid to ask, but we'll find out. So yeah, guys, I love this batch. Just 5.5 chapters. Boy, it was full of some stuff. But yeah, where we ended up was pretty interesting, I gotta say. Like, I feel like Gyro really leveled up, emotionally, spiritually, physically with the eye and everything. So we had a really good, for someone who's a big Gyro fan, this was a good batch. Yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing about it, reading about it along with me. I'm having a blast with this series. I cannot believe that, like, in a few weeks, I'm going to be at the halfway point. If I keep doing 5 chapters at a time, like, I'm going to be, in, like, 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be at, like, the halfway point just about, because I think it's about 90-something chapters. So I am very, very excited for it, you guys. I'm so here for it. Hope you've been enjoying this. Please... because it has been rough at parts, and I am going to need your help. Please be sure to join me next time, and we will watch it, or read, discuss it. Had to catch myself there. We will read it together. Bye for now, guys.